Grown black folks talk. The three top traits of people who progress in their lives. Now, the last time y'all saw me, it was a night video, and I was talking about top traits of regressive people, people who are going nowhere. And if you are that kind of person, you need to break those habits. And if you're around those type of people, you need to get away from them because they are going to wreck everything they are trying to do, and they will take you with them. And if you are that person, you have to grow and get over it. So I did those videos at night and it was dark and it was spooky because the way my lighting was set up. So today I wanted to do it in the full daylight, although we're running out of time on that. It's late afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where you may happen to be, and talk about the top three traits. And I'm doing these three together because they run together. They all enable each other. The first of these is humility. I don't care what you practice or do not practice. The first thing to understand about humility is when you wake up in the morning, you are not God. You do not know everything. You do not have all power. You do not have all power, all knowledge, nor can you be everywhere at once. So to be humble is basically to accept your human limitations. If you cannot do this, ego, pride, fear, and greed are going to take over. And those get us back into our traits of why people don't go anywhere, because that's how they're running their life. Humility allows you to be able to acknowledge your limitations and ask for help. Now, this is a very, very missing trait in discourse in the United States of America, where I live. Because in the United States of America, people really like to pretend. We are the home of the philosophy of individualism. But the men who gave us that in the mid 1800s, who wanted to play pretend that they were going to be self-made men, were living in a nation that already for 200 years, back into its colonial phase, had taken every scrap of land that they were sitting on from the Native American and had enslaved millions of Africans to make it profitable for them to have the resources, the land, and the cash to pretend to be self-made men. And collectively, those men and the two generations following them would continue, actually three, because the Native American issue went on into past the Civil War, would agree collectively and express their collective will through government policy, through economic might, and through military might, collectively agree to continue to take resources from other people to allow them to live their self-made fantasies. So, individualism is America's favorite positive lie. Nothing that we have ever done here was not enabled by the collective decision to disadvantage millions of other people for 13 to 16 generations. There are no individualistic accomplishments in the United States of America because millions and millions and millions of my Native and African American ancestors have determined that that was a lie. So since we have now acknowledged that no one, even in the individualistic United States, has made it without the collective making certain decisions, once you understand that, then the next thing to understand is humility is the first prerequisite for adults in obtaining both divine and human assistance. Now, as children, we were humble. We recognized that we were dependent, we were in need of resources, and we were in need of learning, and we were willing to cry out for the help that we needed. And then if we were taught well, we learned to ask, because you pass the age very quickly where you can you at no age can one human being demand and control another without actually doing slave breaking kind of work. But if you're not in that position, you have to ask in such a way that people want to help you. As a child, we understood how to do that. Then that ego kicked in around about 12 to 15, depending on who you were. And then you had that training and you had to choose to use it. If you are not humble enough to ask, then generally you're not going to be helped. And even if someone does go out of their way to help you, you're not going to listen to them because you already think you know everything. But go back to point A. You have to understand, you're not God. So you cannot know everything you need to know, and you cannot have access to everything you need to have access to. And even if you have access to it, you may not have the power to use it, so you're going to need some help. And if you're going to need some help, you have to have the humility to ask for it and to be willing to be helped in the way that's necessary. which also means humility will also allow you to be patient. If you are not God, you do not deserve to have everything delivered to you like that. If you are God, yeah, you can call the universe and everything in it out of nothing. If you're not, you may have to wait. But if you have an understanding of both your human limitations and that you can ask for help for the things that you need, then you will be able to wait. It will not bother you as much if other people seem to be getting their things ahead of time. This shuts down instant gratification. This is where your patience comes in. And patience goes with consistency. Not having to have your results right away, not having your ego so big that you have to jump the line when you see someone seem to be ahead of you and getting what they want. The patience will help you be consistent to do the work you need to do to finish your process. So humility, patience, consistency, they run together. They are the big three. They run together. They enable one another. Because when you give up the idea that you have to live as a God on earth, then you can be patient when things do not behave as if you are God on earth. And then, as you have given, you discover what you need to be doing as you receive help and you discover the path you need to take, the patience will allow you to have consistency to walk the path until you get to your destination. Now, there's a lot of different directions I could go in. I could also say, but there are a lot of micro situations. I gave you the big American situation about why humility is difficult. Because again, people want to play pretend. People want to play pretend that is, if God formed a universe out of nothing, that they formed a nation out of nothing. There was nothing here, and then they came and made it. We play pretend like this. It's very hard as an American citizen to deal with this. And that's not a reference to color because we all learned a certain amount of this. Since schooling has been integrated, we all have been affected by this. It's very hard for people to realize, no, I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. In the 21st century, as I said in my previous set of videos, we are in a knowledge-based economy in a communications age, meaning we have to be able to communicate with one another in a collaborative way. If you do not have humility, and you do not have patience because people are going through what they're going through, you may not be able to do everything you want to do with another person immediately. You're not going to be able to do either of these things well. And if you cannot do these things consistently, like I said in the last series of videos, you ain't going to make it. So the first thing you need to go back and do, if you want to make progress in your life, start with humility. Get your ego under control. Get your pride under control. Be willing to accept, okay, these are my limitations. These are my abilities. These are my limitations. I need help here. And then you can always go look at different sources of help. You don't have to accept everything it's given to you. Get a second opinion and even a third. But go with the mindset that you have things to learn and therefore be intent on learning them. I also should mention something else. If you are in the social media space, part of your being willing to learn is to use these tools to go learn. Check out Facebook groups. Check out YouTube videos on things that you need to learn. It helps to set your mind to actually finding out the things that you need to know. Sometimes you can't ask a person. You might be going into something that the people around you don't know about. Ask me if I know many people who know about Bitcoin, for just one example, who could have given me a leg up in my personal circle of Black people about this, and then spread it out a little bit more. Not that many people of other races know about it either relative to the US population. So I had to go seek help by actually searching out people and learn how to assess what I was finding out. I couldn't just rush off in there and just buy at the top of the market. Those of you who follow crypto at all, you already know. A whole lot of people bought Bitcoin. They saw it, made the news at $64,000 at the top. And that thing in midway went whoop. If you bought at 64, you woke up 5 days later, you looking at a couple days later, by the end of the month, you sitting up there looking at a 55% correction. Bitcoin went down to like $30,000 and then hit $27,000 before it finally stopped bottoming out. So if you went up in there and you didn't know what you were doing, you lost more than half your money. You have to have humility to have taken the time to learn how to work that particular market. You can't learn everything on your own. And not having humility and patience will destroy you. But I covered that in the videos on regressive behavior. For this video, we're talking about the things that may help you make progress in your life. The first is humility. That is essential for you to be able to understand your human limitations and then be willing to ask for help and learn. And when you have humility, it'll be easier to develop patience so you can take the time you need to take to learn and not be mad as other people tend to be going, may have started their journey a little earlier and are getting supposedly quote unquote getting ahead of you, and will allow you to do the learning and the work you need to do consistently so that you can make progress to where you want to go. Okay, this will not be as long a series because you see how these things are interrelated. We'll group up a couple of them together and try to keep these videos under 15 minutes. All right, have a good day. I'll talk to you soon.